Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Miss Abernathy, roll call, please.
Mr. Vick.
Here.
Mr. Burnham.
Here.
Mr. Spencer.
Here.
Mr. Hunley.
Here.
Mr. Niemeyer.
Present.
Ms. Derkowitz. Here. Mr. Smith will be absent. Mr. Carnahan.
Here.
Mr. Slaughter.
Present.
Mr. Austin.
Present.
Ms. Sandberg. Here. Ms. Abernathy. Here.
All right, well, first and foremost, Mr. Hunley, a warm welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Glad to have you aboard, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
We're going to throw you in the deep end, and we're all going to tread together.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That's good. Good. As long as you guys are with me.
Former chief of police.
All right, we are in good hands. Well, welcome aboard. Glad to have you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to start off with our presentation of our Explore Everyday Community Recognition. Ms. Sharp,
Yes.
come on forward. How are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All the way up there?
Oh, right there is fine. Right there is fine. So, many moons ago, I think it was about 18 months ago, we decided that we were a bit remiss in the fact that we were not recognizing the fine folks in town who have spent a lot of time, sweat, equity, and finances to invest in this community. We were struck by that when we began the farmers market.
Oh, okay.
And as a result of that, what we are striving to do each month is to recognize either a new business in town or a long-standing business in town and thank them publicly for their investment in the community, for putting folks to work, as well as to give them an opportunity to share a bit about who they are and their plans for the future, and we'd like to publicize them as well. So share with us a bit about Yancey's House of Carpet.
Well, my mom and dad opened the store in 1980 on Route 41, and they were there for 18 years, and then they bought property and built their own property, their own store in 1992, and we've been there ever since. And that's when I came on board. I am their daughter. I am second generation. They are retiring and trying to get out of it, and I'll be taking it over.
Very cool.
So as far as the future, we just plan to keep on selling some floors to people.
So a good couple of years for it?
It's been a good couple of years, yes. Yeah, COVID really just kind of slingshot past anything we thought we were going to do in the last couple of years, that's for sure.
Right. How many folks do you employ?
6.
Very cool.
And as I reported, I'm on Lake County Solid Waste, and you guys put the carpet in their new building there in Maryville.
Yes, we did.
They informed me of that.
Yeah, they love it. They're very happy with everything, and that was a pretty good-sized job, so, yeah. Yeah, we do commercial and residential both.
Very good. Well, congratulations on a long-standing business. I think I just read again the other day, most folks don't last the first 5, so 1980, we're going on about
42 years.
42 years.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Anything else from the commission? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Niemeyer?
All right.
Congratulations. Thank you for your many years of dedication to the community. It's rare anymore to have businesses last more than one generation, so it's great to see the family tradition being passed down. You guys have a tremendous reputation, and we appreciate what you bring to Cedar Lake.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well said, Randy. Go ahead, Bob.
Are you going to present the certificate for
We are. I think Mr. Keaton, is that in back? We have one more, so
Okay,
we'll
you're
go
gonna do-
together at once.
Okay.
Come on forward, sir.
Hi,
Doug.
how's everyone?
You good yourself?
Doing great.
Doug, do you smell steaks?
Sorry, I couldn't change.
Good.
I did actually close on mine. This is what I look like when I'm not at the White House. There you
Hey,
go.
that's all good. Well, Mr. Keaton, you missed the brief intro that I gave, but what I referenced before is we like to recognize longstanding businesses in the community, new businesses in the community, and those that have a significant impact in the community. And with the emergence of the lighthouse as an anchor on this side of the lake, I think we can all agree that the lighthouse definitely makes a strong impact on the community as a destination. It's fine dining. I think it was just there 2 weeks ago for a wedding. The food was phenomenal. So on behalf of everyone here in the commission, we want to say thank you to you and your dynamite staff and team that you lead for the fine work that you guys do and for putting many folks to work as you do almost on a nightly basis. So want to share with us a little bit about how you guys survived COVID and some plans for the future?
Well, we'd love to put some more people to work, because we need some. So, luckily with us, when we opened, people were like chomping at the bit to get back. I think that's cool that, I had people calling me when we were closed for 3 months, like, when are you opening, and my boss told me we'd be lucky to do 100 people on a Saturday when we first opened. We generally do about 1,000, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't think so. I think you're underestimating our community and our following. And we opened on a Tuesday, and we did 400 people on the first day. And it was way more than we were ready for. We need more employees, but, it's good. It's done in a lot of the smaller restaurants and the smaller businesses that don't have as much space to space people out in that environment with the social distancing and everything. They weren't as fortunate. So, the community, as much as we do for the community, it's, we feel the same way about the community. So, the support that the local people get is great, or they give us is great, but also, it's nice that we do draw people here from the other businesses. And it works both ways. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to you and your staff, and every time I go, I'm impressed by the quality and the professionalism of them, and that starts at the top down, and they're motivated, so I can tell that they're underneath good leadership, so congratulations.
I guess I would have to say, that was always Dean White's vision, I don't want to take credit for what he wanted. He wanted to do this for the community, and he wanted it to be affordable for the community, and that's become challenging in the current,
Right.
economy and stuff with how much everything costs. But we wanted the people who live here to be able to go there more often and not break the bank and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
so.
Dean White personally told me, said, I hope you like what I'm doing in your community.
Yeah.
My brother and I hung around in Cedar Lake in the 30s when we were kids, and I'd just like to pay Cedar Lake back for all the fond memories I've got.
Yeah.
And he was told not to build the lighthouse in Cedar Lake, that it'd never make a nickel, but that proved to be wrong.
Yeah. It's a big operation there with all the people that we do. So we spend a lot to make little. So I don't think he was in it to make money. So it's more about what he just wanted to do. He's basically to have the people here to have a good place to go. And that's kind of what we want to keep it at. So.
Well, kudos to you.
Well, thank you all very much for having us come out.
Absolutely. Well, we've got some certificates. We want to share that with staff, and we'd like to take a picture with everybody if we could.
Okay.
Hey, Mayor, real quick, can I say a couple words?
Yeah, this is my assistant.
Randy wants to say a couple words.
Oh, hold on, Randy, go ahead.
Hey, Shane, I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. I think it'd be remiss if we didn't mention the tremendous partnership we've had with the Lighthouse over many years. The little beach out there that people enjoy on a daily basis was part of that partnership that happened back in, I think it was 2013. That beach was installed, and it was part of a land swap deal that we made with the Lighthouse. Recently, we made another land swap that will allow you guys to expand your outdoor kitchen, and the town got a very fair price on a pretty substantial well that's going to help us to supply our Eastside water utility for generations to come. So the relationship with the Lighthouse isn't one of just another business in the community. It's important that you're a business in the community, but we've had a very hand-in-glove relationship of real business partnership, and so we appreciate that. We're in such close proximity to one another that it's been important that we find ways to work together, and I believe it's been productive for all parties. So thank you again for all the contributions to the community and helping to create a destination point.
Well, thank you.
We'll gather around and take a picture. Sir, spawn in the middle.
So we got you here. Here we go. Come on
All right, Jim, front and center. For the team now.
All right, I think I got a couple good
Sounds
ones.
good. Put Randy later. Randy later.
What's your job?
All those facts give you a little-
Hang out, yep.
Oh, like, the big heads?
Yeah, big heads, yeah.
Yeah. I say we get one of Randy driving the truck. That'd be appropriate.
Oh, boy. Hopefully everything's fixed. I'll fix it. We'll talk after.
I wish I could stay, I gotta get home from dinner in school.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Randy.
All right. We're gonna move along to our consent agenda. We've got approval of the July 18, 2022 meeting minutes as well as claims fund 404 in the amount of $1,282.18 as well as fund 804 in the amount of $133,696.56. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, so we've got a Fund 404, legal fees, printing fees for third quarter communication, newsletter, BMV, background checks for new hires, and Redevelopment Association. And then we've also got construction costs for parish avenue improvements, lights and ceiling tiles for improvements on the home front here, Veritas Group, Cronin Associates, and Oshing Kuiper. Any questions on that? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hunley,
And abstaining.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Niemeyer,
Yes.
Mr. Burnham,
Yes.
Mr. Vick.
Yes. All right. 420. All right, moving along to new business, explore everyday community recognition. We've held off for a couple of months as we've waited to dispense to Yancey's and to the Lighthouse. What is the pleasure of the commission on that one?
I was told to keep in mind of maybe recognizing Midwest PGM Recovery Specialists Incorporated, which they purchase scrap and try to recycle everything that they purchase.
Okay, suggestion by Mr. Carnahan. Is there a second? Or is there a motion to that effect, I should say?
I'll make that motion, Nathan.
All right, motion's been made by Mr. Niemeyer, second made by Mr. Spencer. I believe to that effect, Mr. Carnahan, that he's opening up a resale shop in town, which I will be visiting, much to my wife's chagrin, and stocking up on tools.
Right at across from Imperial.
Yeah, it looks clean, bright inside, some really cool tools, so.
And also have a Mexican ice cream.
The kids want to visit that, I'm sure the boys want to get an axe next door, so it's a good Friday night.
Yeah.
Each Harbor Freight.
I've got another candidate here.
Go ahead.
I would say about a month and a half ago, I went to a recital dance for my youngest granddaughter, and it was over at Lake Central High School in their auditorium, their all-new high school. It looked very nice. But it was for L&M Dance Studios that are sitting over there. They took over the kind of like a fitness place. They really run a great operation. And
That's across from Burger King, right?
pardon?
Well, it's across from Burger King.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat the way they do it. They've got a large area where the kids are, the classes are being held, and all the parents are kind of up like in the front in a separate room, and they've got cameras and everything all over, and they can watch their kids at the practices up there. They put those recitals on, and I'm sure that they're making a pretty good buck there with the, you got to have the dress and what have you, but they run a very good program, and I'm be interested if they end up doing some work with the Hanover Central with their dance teams, which are some of the best in the state, I think, Eric.
Yeah, there's conflict of interest here. The dance team coach
Yeah.
She started her own dance studio over in Cherville.
Oh, did she?
And then some of the girls go to another one over at Crown Point, so they've been bouncing around. But one of the instructors at the one you're saying,
Yeah.
she did the dance for the junior varsity one that won state. So they're very impressive though. So I'm comfortable with either one. And we can do one, I mean, we're a month behind anyways, right?
Yeah, you still can do a July one if you choose.
Yeah.
You already got a motion and a second to do the one.
Right.
Right.
I'm comfortable with that too.
Mr. Carnahan is not only Robert, he's Robert's Rules of Order over there appropriately, so.
Well, we're not taking it away, so that's one, but we do have room for two. We have a month where you guys didn't put one last month.
Well, let's first vote on, the first one that's on the board, and then we can decide if we want to go two or just hold that one off till next month. Let's do roll call on the first nomination.
Mr. Hunley,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Niemeyer,
Yes.
Mr. Burnham,
Yes.
Mr. Vick.
Yes. And what's the pleasure of the commission? Do we want to go for two at a time, or do we want to wait?
No, I guess
until next month?
I guess we could wait till next month. I mean,
I'm comfortable with that too. Just wanted to make sure, because I kind of had it on my mind last time we came in or whatever, and we kind of shuffled people around, so I didn't want to try to jam them in there.
They also wanted to buy Chase Bank, but Culver's beat them to it.
Well, I think what they've done is they've maintained that building that they're in very nicely.
Yes.
I would agree with Mr. Spencer. I think that's a lot.
it was a good building anyways. You know, they got out the inside, there was a fitness place, so there was tons of room.
Yep.
Actually, it was probably ideal for what they were doing. Weren't they originally from Illinois too?
Right.
From Beecher?
I went and looked them up and, you know, to see where the heck they were from and, you know.
Was
how they
Beecher?
had developed such a program, what have you.
Yep. Okay. Well, good, then we'll keep that on the agenda. Ms. Abernathy, as my memory fails, if you could remind us next month, that would be most fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am. Number two, underneath new business, approval to disperse true-up monies to Summer Winds Plaza for contribution of public improvements deferred on July 18, 2022. So this dates back to, I think, back into April of 2021, if not before. There was an agreement reached, it was not memorialized in writing, it was on the record, with the folks at Summer Winds Plaza for a reimbursement to them over time of the public improvements. Back on May 17, 2021, there was a motion made and approved to disperse to Summer Winds Plaza the amount of $19,250 in April and October of each year for 7 years, contingent upon them remitting to the commission invoices showing an excess of $400,000 paid towards those improvements. I believe in April, we deferred on the first remittance of that entire $19,250 as under the recommendation of financial advisors not to show too many expenditures at that time for our bonding that we were going through for the lake project. This was deferred at our last meeting as we only had 3 people present. So what is on the docket here is to approve the remainder of $9,250 and then $19,250 for the October distribution. Discussion or motion?
I guess I'm confused on the matter. Didn't we already vote for this to do this? I mean, it says right here, I mean, a motion was made by Randy and second by Doug for an investment of $270,000 over the course of 7 years. I mean, so we'll have to vote on this every time? Is that how it goes?
Well, I think, and that is a good question that's being raised. So I think the reason why we took a vote on it back in April was because we were holding off on the distribution at the request and suggestion of financial advisors, so that we didn't have that.
Okay.
But my suggestion would be to memorialize this moving forward. Mr. Austin, if you could put this agreement to writing a memorandum, just a 1-page to that effect, because I agree with you, we shouldn't have to re-vote on it every year. There could be folks after us. But yeah, at the present time, we do need to agree to release these funds that we had held back as of back in April.
Is there an answer to that question, or?
I think moving forward, since it will be a 7-year span of time and the board is the board has already changed in over a month now. There will be more changes. I would heavily recommend that something more formal be drafted.
I think, Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, but have you seen there, and I saw today, Ms. Abernathy, Margaret had sent me a wide variety of invoices that the plaza has sent in for all their expenses from a wide variety of things.
I have not been copied on any invoices.
Okay.
And those were just invoices, they're not receipts paid. So I think that's another confusion maybe.
Okay.
But yes, I think this really begs for Dave to draft us up something that can be carried forward into the future.
Okay. So my suggestion would be then a motion made to approve the distribution of the $9,250 and the $19,250 and make that contingent upon a showing that the invoices that he submitted have been paid, so that we have that final conclusion. Because it's about 12 pages that Margaret shared with me today that show all the engineering, excavation, concrete, pipe, you name it, all the costs that went into the public infrastructure. So,
The infrastructure that they took care of when they built it.
correct, that now is public infrastructure.
Okay.
I think what we had agreed is that they were able to show to us that they spent in excess of $400,000 on public infrastructure improvements. We would then remit to them over time $270,000 over 7 years.
Okay, I'll make that motion. I think, that we keep it on the books and we don't have to vote on it every, is it annually, that we'd be voting on it?
It'll be twice annually.
Twice, April and October.
And once an agreement's executed, it's an encumbrance on those funds, and you're responsible to pay.
So there's a motion made, is there support?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mr. Hunley,
And not being familiar with this, I'm going to abstain.
Mr. Spencer,
I'll vote yes.
Mr. Niemeyer,
Hold on, Randy, we can't hear you.
Okay, I'm back. I just unfortunately had a phone call ringing in while I was on Zoom.
No worries.
My vote is no.
Mr. Burnham,
Yes.
Mr. Vick.
Yes. All right, that passes 3-1. Dave, if we can collaborate the next 30 days on that, I'm happy to weigh in. My thought is a simple memorandum. And then, Jen, what I'll do is I'll loop you in with the plaza and then ask that they show paid invoices and make sure that those are sent in. Your staff reviews that and they meet your submission approval. Then we can move from there.
Okay, I'll look for that email.
Awesome, thanks. All right, we'll move on to clerk treasurer funds report. Jen, what do you have for us?
Just an update in your packet of where you're at. We just recently did the, as you saw in Fund 804, the first payout for Parish Avenue. I'm sure we're going to have next one rolling out soon. As they have they started on the second phase? Or-
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure we're going to have another one coming up here. I do believe they're going to start on the 133rd Avenue mill and resurface pretty soon here. That is going to be a pretty quick project from my understanding. So I imagine we'll have the payout for that within the next 30 days or so.
Where's that taking place? We're on 133rd.
From the intersection of 133rd and Parish to the railroad tracks, just west of there. Yeah. So it's gonna be, I believe, a 2-inch mill and overlay.
West of that, that's just past the high school.
Correct.
Okay.
It'll be close, coming down to the end of the year, especially with all these payouts for the road project. So funds are still tight.
And we've got the capacity, right, Dave, if we need to borrow from the utility fund temporarily, we're not prohibited by law from doing that.
No, but the town council would have to check in on that.
Okay. Yeah.
The temporary loan
Yep.
documentation that would be needed.
Because we're anticipating a pretty healthy second disbursement again,
Yes, but unfortunately, we never received that until the very last day of the month.
January, yeah.
It's usually December 30th, 31st when we receive that.
So you said it's gonna be tight, what do you expect the expenditures, right now, we have 700,000, what do you have out for expenditures for the rest of the year?
Your road project.
Where,
Parish Avenue is going to.
this 1.4? Is that what you're saying?
Where do you see that?
Where do you see the amount that you expect to be, that's gonna?
I don't have anything on there yet because unfortunately Parish Avenue, most likely we're going to have change orders coming up soon for the work on Parish Avenue, so I can't give you an exact of what it's going to cost. I haven't seen the change order yet, but I do know the changes have been significant.
They ran into about 3 feet of mud underneath Parish Avenue, which we semi-expected because they ran into the same type of soil previously with Nice Engineering when they did a more southern portion of Parish Avenue. So it seems like that whole stretch of road just has very poor soils underneath it. We had to excavate an additional 3 feet of mud that we did not expect to have to.
And the surveyor company that we hired,
We
didn't
did
have
not
any of that?
We did not do soil borings for this road project, so that would have been what told us how much mud was underneath the road. We knew it was there, we just don't know how much. It was just decided to open up the road and we'll address it as we come towards it. And then in place of that poor soil, we dumped about 2 to 3 feet of number 2 stone in there in order to basically solidify that subgrade for that road. So we should not have to come back and do a full reconstruct for 15 years, ideally.
And that's one of the reasons why it's taken so much longer.
So that section of road.
And we also found a water line we didn't know was there either.
Which saved us money.
So there was, on a water project. But yes, there were some unexpected items in that project that presented itself.
Opportunities for improvement.
Finding water line that we didn't know was there is a good thing. Finding mud that we didn't, finding more mud than we expected is not.
Oil.
There's a ebb and flow of everything.
Well, it is what it is. We don't have any other big expenses that we're anticipating here. We've got money set aside, obviously, for some facade projects. We're holding off on any further facade projects. So, okay.
Yeah. And as Jim had mentioned, we just don't know the final cost of those overruns yet because the bills have not come in yet.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jen. Any questions on that front from the commission? No. Mr. Carnahan, you might have to dip into your trust fund. Good for a zero-interest loan?
That'll be Bob's legacy.
Make certain selling brownies or lemonade at Winding Wind subdivision, catching all the detours.
Winding Creek.
Winding Creek, yeah.
We need some Carnahan bonds. All right, we'll move along to number 2, facade grants update. I saw kitty corner from my office that the Burdans have significantly made some updates to the front of their parking lot. And they're waiting on an invoice that says here to submit their reimbursement requests. Is that accurate, Chris?
It's the most accurate, up-to-date information on that.
Okay. The other updates, I do know Mr. Lindemulder is still waiting on one of his contractors for some signage, so we'll wait on that one. Anything else from the facade grants?
Nothing else.
All right, move along to financial analysis. Tiff, do we have Corby on?
Corby is on.
I'm here. Do you guys hear me?
Corby, it looks like you got your Top Guns on. You go ahead, Maverick.
Hey, so a couple things. Just to follow up from the last meeting, I think you had asked for some projections, basically just off of what we're currently seeing, and then make some very basic assumptions. So I did last minute try to send out, and hopefully you guys all have it in front of you, but just a 5-year projection. Essentially where the TIF revenues and expenditures have experienced historically the last couple of years, plus like I said, some simple projections going forward. So, just looking at that page, I basically assumed 5% increment growth beginning in 2023 through 2026. So each year you just see a 5% increase there. For 2022, we already know what the spring settlement was, and using some assumptions based on previous, collections versus what the actual increment calculates to, it's about 93% of what the capturable increment is. So using that same logic, I've used that for 2022. So this year I've estimated you guys will get about 1.18 million total this year. I think your spring distribution is generally a little bit bigger than your fall distribution. There's about 621,000 this fall. So you guys might already be aware of that, but just wanted to mention that as well. As far as the expenditures go, I basically just, you guys still there?
Still here.
As far as the expenditures go, I've just got some allowance figures for some professional services. I also have a couple project expenditures going out in 2025 for the North Corridor and Lake Shore projects. But other than that, the only thing I have as far as expenditures go would be transfers for debt service, which pays your 2017 bonds, or maybe 2013. 2017 RDC bonds, the 2020 lease rental refunding bonds, but only a portion of that, which we'll talk about a little bit more, and then the entirety of the ecosystem project. So the debt service related to those bonds. I think the important thing to focus on here would be the change in cash line. How are we cash flowing on a year-to-year basis? And so if we just assume, no projects, you're cash flowing at about $400,000 a year. And based on your debt service requirements, you're well over your coverage requirements. So there's really no concern there. It was brought to my attention recently that there was some discussion to potentially have the entirety of the 2020 lease rental bonds to be paid with a property tax, a special benefits property tax, versus TIF fund. I have not assumed that for these projections. I still have that portion of previous debt service still payable with TIF fund. So, those are really the assumptions I just wanted to put there, give you guys some context there. And I guess really if you guys have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them.
So,
But this, yeah.
yeah, Corby, so this proposed, and we're looking in the future, right, so none of us has direct vision as to what it's going to be. Did you take into account with this the 50 or so anticipated new commercial lots as well as proposed new capture that we're hoping to get along the 41 corridor, or is this for just the existing locations?
So, yeah, this is basically just existing locations. We don't assume any parcel removal. We don't assume any, outside of 5% a year. We don't assume any, additional increment to be captured there. So, yes, it does not take into consideration, likely a lot of growth that we will experience, whether that's in the yield or the current consolidated district.
Go ahead, Dave.
It's meant to be kind of a conservative year.
Right. Okay, hold on a second, Corby. Dave's got a question.
Corby,
Okay.
with the revenue that is being described in a very conservative way, which I think is appropriate, are we running afoul, or are we coming close to the statutory provisions regarding TIF capture, TIF increment capture? Every March we do that, March, April, here. We declare our intent to capture the entire TIF revenue stream.
Right.
And it sounds, just on a conservative basis, it sounds like we're growing it. We know what's coming, and it's gonna be fresh. And a lot. Although no pro forma
Yeah.
yet. Are we
Yeah,
finding ourselves in that position where we might run afoul of excess fund grabbing, if you will, or disbursement?
So roughly, Corby, if I heard you correctly, on a yearly basis, we have about 70% of those funds already allocated for when they come in. So about 30% of what comes in is our money to find projects to do with. And I think that Dave's question is, when we get to that rough 30%, where does that put us statutorily?
yeah, I mean, that 30% that we have in excess cash flow is basically just available for any project. Dave cut out a little bit there, I'm not sure I cut all of it, I think that's what you're asking.
His question, yeah, Corby, his question is whether or not, if we have that much unallocated for, so to speak, at the beginning of a year, does that put us potentially in the sights of the state statute where we're collecting too much unallocated cash?
No,
Yes.
no, and I can say, you know, like Anderson is a good example of, you know, they've got all kinds of industrial growth up there. And they're about the only community I've ever heard that was kind of on the verge of, you know, having somebody come in and say, hey, this is getting a little bit excessive here. And, you know, they've got like $40 million in TIF cash, or at least they did at one point.
I've got a town up here that could beat that. It's 1 square mile and it has PP, Amoco right there, and it's got $1.2 billion worth of industrial base.
Yeah,
But it's doing the
so,
annual collections
Yeah.
against the annual debt service percentage-wise. You can take
Yeah, I
a bit
think-
of pile of money and fall off.
yeah, I think with, yeah, I mean, I think as far as coverage goes, you'd have to be well over 200%, in order to even raise an eyebrow. But, I mean, even then, you know, I work with other communities that are routinely, you know, 250%, 300% debt service coverage, but they use the cash. As long as they use the cash, it doesn't seem to, you know, really cause any concern or questions from other overlapping units or anything. You know, that's not to say that it couldn't happen, but, I think with what I'm projecting here, yes, if we get some, you know, massive increment coming in where, you know, we're making $2 million a year, our debt service is only $600,000, and we really don't have any projects to fund, you know, then maybe we need to think about, you know, one, a better option would be figure out a way to use the cash, but otherwise,
We'll never have
yeah,
that.
you
I was gonna say, you guys probably won't have that.
We'll never have that problem.
This is a high topic.
Yeah.
It's all over the newspapers, you read about it, state government, surplus funds being held, and at some point it's gonna trip somebody.
Well, and I think one thing that I appreciate with that, Corby, is that over the last probably 2 years with Chris, Bob, Dave, and Randy, really implemented the need to set forth what's our 5-10-year vision for our capital plan. So if anybody were to come sniffing, so to speak, we clearly have 5 to 10 big projects that we're looking at, and then we can make decisions once we have X amount in to leverage that to effectuate those. So it's a good question raised, Dave, and I think we're clearly prepared to handle any of those. So good to keep that in the forefront of it.
Sure, we need to talk about it once in a while.
Yep.
Also.
If you find yourself in excess of some couple $1 million,
We
we'll
know
find a place
that you
to
guys
put it.
will do really good with it.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned about that. Give a $7 million water bill.
And then Corby, thanks for assembling this, very helpful. In terms of the 41 TIF corridor, things moving along there with your office and Dave's office as we look towards the end of the year to effectuate that?
Yeah, to give you an update there, we all, myself, Dave, Bill Descendant, Chris, Burl, and on call earlier today, and kind of hashed through, you know, what exactly it is we still need to accomplish. And, you know, we're all on the same page, and not this week, but next week, I'm going to get with Chris. We're going to basically go through all of the parcels that are along US 41, figure out whether or not we want to keep those, or pull them out. And even if we keep them in the consolidated area now, you know, in 7 years, when it sunsets, you know, maybe we add them to the US 41 corridor, but but more or less, yeah, in 2 weeks, next week, I'm getting together with Chris. We're gonna go through the US 41, all those parcels there, figure out whether or not, like I said, we want to pull them out, or if there's large increments, leave them in. And that way, by the time we get to October and all the annexations are done, because there are going to be some parcels in those new annexations that we want to add to that US 41 corridor. But we'll have an exhaustive list at that point, and we should be able to get everything, well, we will get everything done before the end of the year.
Excellent.
I know this nice new project happening on 41 that's going to be an excellent addition to our business park out there. We absolutely want to capture all of that.
Fun, good times ahead. Very exciting. Yeah.
Now we got 3 new businesses coming on 133rd, that'll eventually generate some TIF money.
Yep. No, exciting stuff along that whole corridor. Good. Any questions for Corby while we have him on the phone? Randy, any questions raised from that?
No, sir. It was very good, and you really enjoyed Corby's sunglasses in the summer. It's good look. We got
You guys are doing,
Oh, yeah.
hard time, you're trying to not look into this.
Now you got me, Corby.
That's okay.
Poor guy.
We have him set up with a realtor next week too when he's up. We're gonna find him a house up here. He likes it so much.
Hey, I'd love to have a house up there,
What's that?
but I want to keep my...
I just demolished
I reviewed
nearby
your-
house that he could have had.
I reviewed Corby's work, and, as always, it's a good product. I think we will probably, outperform it, but that's good. We want to outperform it.
Good. All right, that handles financial analysis. We're gonna go next to Dave. Anything from your office that we have not touched on yet?
Just continuing saga of Tony Hood, still plugging away in Indianapolis, getting close, chipping away at it.
Okay. Chris, anything from your office?
No, I think we touched everything.
Okay. Connie, anything from school district?
School starts this week.
We ready?
We're as ready as we're gonna be. So we're looking forward to a great year, but I would ask that everyone pay attention to the school buses, the flashing lights, children walking and riding their bikes to school, especially in the areas near the middle school where the railroad tracks are. Just keep everyone safe.
Noted.
We didn't make their job any easier with our road paving this year.
Okay, the road needs to be done, that's okay.
The price of progress. Well, the new school looks great. They're doing a dynamite bang-up job on it, so I'm excited to see the finished product and the landscaping completed, so.
I took a tour Friday.
The sport complex, you guys did a great job on that. The field looks awesome.
And it's a great entryway to the community right there, right when you drive in.
Yeah.
Kudos. All right, Mr. Carnahan, anything from you,
Well,
sir?
I will, since there's nobody here from the Crown Point School Corporation, MacArthur Elementary is moving forward with $23 to $30 million that they're going to invest in that school, and it's up to 40 now.
I thought it was 49.
Keeps going up. And
Inflation.
Are they tearing that building down, putting a new one?
no, they're adding on. They're going to add 13 new classrooms. They're going to move the gymnasium from its present location further closer to Fairbanks. They're going to put the cafeteria inside the old gymnasium and a media room, and they bought the house behind it, and they're going to tear that down, I heard, in June, and big improvements. They're going to try and have 700 kids at all the Crown Point Elementary schools. Capacity. They're not going to have that right now, but that's their capacity.
Got
I
it.
think they're gonna eclipse that here in Cedar Lake pretty fast.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Graduating class. So, you know, that's how big the whole school system was. Yes.
That's incredible. Thank you for that, Mr. Carnahan. Anything from the public? Welcome, sir. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the commission? Mr. Hunley, again, welcome aboard. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion on that.
Is there support?
I'll second.
We are adjourned.